everybody to the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, aka The Whip Show. You know what it is. I am Deshaun Whip Dog Whipple, and we are here with my tag team partner.
Hey man, devastating Daryl Pace and Deshaun. I got a big problem, man. I'm disorderly. I want to organize. The live show is tough for me, man. I need a manager. I need somebody that can help manage me. I don't know what to do.
You want a manager? You need somebody that's like around the world, like a global superstar, right? That can really help us.
Yeah, somebody like that. Because we're worldwide. I need somebody that's international, got worldwide exposure that can really help me out here, man.
Well, where can we find a guy like that? Oh, we already got him. Can we give it up to the innovator of the selfie and one of the greatest managers in the history of pro wrestling? Can we give it up for Mr. Sonny Onoo? How you doing today, sir?
Great. How are you guys doing? Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you great, man. We just are terrible with this internet stuff. So you're awesome. Thanks for doing this, man.
Internet's easy. All you have to do is pay your bill.
Oh, man, that's what it is. I thought because of the pandemic, we didn't have to pay for a couple months. My bad, man. My bad. So with that being said, man, first and foremost, speaking of the pandemic, how are you doing? How's life treating you?
I'm in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, there's, it's all good. And aside from not being able to go to the live shows, as you know, a lot of the guys, a lot of the boys are suffering because all the independent shows, a lot of them just shut down, majority of them. But I'm fortunate enough that I work for Fight TV. I do color commentary on a show from Japan where I have a deal with the Olympic Channel. So, being able to speak a different kind of languages really helps. And I can do it all at my house. So it's great.
Woo! So you just a star. You don't even have to leave the house while everybody else was just sitting there. They can't do anything. That's why we love you, man.
Well, I got to pay my internet bills.
see how the wrestlers do us, man. They just keep shooting, man. They keep ripping us, man. Sheesh. Well, with that being said, Sonny, I want to start here, man. You weren't into wrestling at first, I assume. You started off doing martial arts, correct? And then you met Mr. Bischoff through through martial arts, correct?
Yeah, certainly. I got all my stuff through my connection with Eric, and what happened was back in the days, in our early 20s, we used to travel around the circuit, which was called the karate circuit. We used to travel. It was the only place we could meet a lot of young ladies from all over the United States and be able to get in fights, legitimately at karate tournaments, and we didn't get in trouble. We didn't have to go to jail when we busted somebody open. So it was kind of a great deal for us. You're a young man, you're just out there checking things out. So it was great.
So are you originally from overseas, or are you originally from America?
No, I'm originally from Tokyo.
Oh, you are originally from Tokyo, okay. So when you transitioned over here, over here, was it a big transition or it was whatever?
Yeah, I came here when I was 11 years old, so I didn't speak any English. So I had to learn how to speak English. So my first book was See Spot Run. And I didn't know what Dick was, I didn't know what Dick was doing to Jane, but that's how I learned my stuff.
So I know you're a funny guy, and I can already tell that, man. So let's move forward, man. You meet Eric Bischoff, and you go into WCW. But a lot of people, the fans, thought you were just an on-screen character, but you were doing a lot backstage. As far as being the liaison, if I'm not mistaken, with New Japan and WCW, correct?
Yeah, before I became on-camera talent, I worked as a consultant. That was always my title, and what it was that first time I went to Japan, I went there with Eric. This is before I was actually working for WCW. The prior manager have taken like $500,000 out of New Japan for talent exchange program. They were supposed to send WCW talent over there. Never happened. So we had the first meeting I attended was we had about 3 or 4 big Japanese guys like Riki Choshu, Masa Saito, 64 Olympian. You had Sakaguchi, 6'3" judo heavyweight champion, Olympian. These people are sitting across from us. They look like they just want to kill us. And I have no idea what's going on. This is before I knew anything. And Eric started to speak, and I find out that his company that he was representing has taken $500,000 out of these people, and then provide service. So I'm like, what are you bringing me to? I didn't know what Eric got me into, but we assured them, or certainly Eric assured them, that I would be the liaison officer that they can talk their language to, and that Eric would always take my call. So they would have an answer within 24 hours or whatever the request they were asking. And my job was to make that relationship work. And through that, we started bringing the Japanese talent over to WCW, like Chono, Muta, Kanemoto, Jushin Thunder Liger, Masa Saito, Kensuke Sasaki, and so on and so on. And that's how, once the talent came over, they needed a mouthpiece. So, and this was, you got to remember, this was a time of, current event that was happening in the United States where Japanese yen was strong. There was a bubble going on, and they were over here buying buildings and buying golf courses. So I took that persona of the rich Japanese guy, and that became that Sonny Onoo, the character.
Now, Sonny, did you handle like their day-to-day, like their bookings, the travel, and all of that too? Like beyond just the liaison, did you actually help, manage them? I guess help them get around.
Yeah, I made sure that. Yeah, my job was to make sure they were happy, make sure that make sure they got to the building on time, and make sure they had the hotel. Make sure. Eric basically told me one thing: just treat them like they treat us when we go over there, and they always treated us like $1 million, So it wasn't very hard, I had an expense account, so I have to nudge. I have to kind of figure out a way how I write off a Gold Club, but other than that, we had a great time. We always had a great meal.
See, you touched on something right there that I was going to wait till later in the show to bring up, but you talked about your expense account. Well, there's always been a rumor that they talked about Ted Turner, but Eric Bischoff could write a check and just, especially if you got him drunk. How open was Eric Bischoff to signing them checks or getting Ted Turner to sign them checks, man?
No, I think that's a myth in a sense. I really do. Eric had, the controllers and people that he had to answer to. It's not like, now he would say, hey, we want to get a Hulk Hogan. This is what's it going to cost. And it's not like he could have just did the deal. You know what I mean? He had to go up the channels and make sure he can get okay. People have to sign off on it. And that was the same thing with the New Japan deal. But New Japan deal was relatively easy because they were paying us. Yeah. They were paying us because what we did was we created a synergy between them that they had guys like Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, let's see who else. Eddie Guerrero. We had Dean Malenko,
Ultimo Dragon.
Benoit. Yep. We had those guys. That was a New Japan contract. Yep. So what we did was we put them on their WCW contract and let them use those talents in Japan, and they were paying us. So it worked for everybody. New Japan no longer had to pay for these foreign talent. They just paid us one lump sum to be able to use on their tours. So, and when they were not on the tours, when they were not requested on a tour over there in Japan, they were with us. So it made a lot of sense. It was maximizing talent. And of course, that way, and talent loved it because they got more money, more guarantee money by signing with WCW.
Now,
so you made a lot of business sense.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we want to give a shout out to Chris Willett. He's watching right now. Jamie Brooks said, hello, Sonny. And if you guys got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We can go ahead. We got Sonny live, so you can ask whatever you like. But Sonny, you talked about some of the great wrestlers through the connection between New Japan and WCW. And you managed a lot of them. And I know it's a hard thing to ask you, but who was one of your top 3 favorite guys to work with?
Well, Muta was probably one of the most impacted, New Japan talent. Obviously, he was already here before me, so he was already a name, the Great Muta. I still work with him. I still manage him here in the United States, and I still does his booking for him in the United States, and I work with their office very closely. And working in Japan is like it's having a trust. So my job is to protect them, and so it's not very hard. Yuji Nagata was one of the young boys that they sent over. He still worked. He's now old-timer in Japan now, at New Japan Pro Wrestling. But longest tenure of things, if you say I had a favorite, Ultimo Dragon and I had a nice long run with New Japan or with WCW. And, he was not with New Japan. So he was independent. So, we booked a lot of show, Ultimo Dragon, Yoshihiro Asai, he can work anywhere, and he still works to this day. He's over there in Japan right now with back with Toriumo, a Dragon Gate.
Now, you guys, WCW's had a long relationship with New Japan. I remember the late '80s. There was this, the whole 4 Horsemen were bought, or by New Japanners, what have you, and throughout the '90s. Was there ever a time when WWE was trying to get a hold, when during that whole Monday Night War, were they ever trying to get a hold of a deal with New Japan as well?
I'm not sure, but I did get a call shortly after I started working with WCW. I did get a call if I'd be interested, working for someone else. I won't say who, but I did get a call. And since then, even when WCW was done with, Jeff Jarrett called me, offered me a job at TNA when they were just getting TNA was starting. Right at 2000, maybe 3, I did get a call from WWE about possibly managing a guy named by Kenzo Suzuki. But it just never materialized. But there was always interest, and what it is, I think, more than anything else, I have a unique set of skills, to use the movie line. I speak English well enough to have this conversation with you guys, and I also speak Japanese. So it makes sense for me to be a manager for Japanese talent. You know what I mean? Having an English guy managing a Japanese guy don't make any sense. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I totally understand what you just said, but a lot of times in wrestling, stereotypes occur. You know what I mean? Sure. Back in the day, Boba Brazil had to do the cocoa butt, different things of that nature. Some more wrestlers did wrestle without shoes. So at the time, did those things, that connection did not bother you at all, or some of the stereotypes they brought to the table?
No, I think it's easy to do that. It was just easy for me to be a heel, hey, my job was even easier back then. Like I was telling you earlier, that's before the bubble, when Japanese had all kind of money. They were buying everything. They were buying every golf course they could think of, And one time we did a pay-per-view in Sturgis, and we went to the monument of the president, and we actually did a taping there, where Colonel Parker was selling me the monument of the president, right? And actually there was actual people that was visiting the monument would listen to me talk and they were telling me, said, the one lady came up there and said, you can't buy that. That's a national monument. I told the lady, I said, no, I'm from Japan. We have all the money we want. We have all the money. We make everything. I bet you drive a Toyota, I said. I said, yeah. I said, you're going to help me pay for that monument, so.
You always working, baby. I love it. Well, during that time, Sonny, you were part of one of the biggest eras and booms of pro wrestling during all that Monday Night War stuff. You guys even produced one of the biggest shows, Collision in Korea. How did that feel, man, being a part of something like that?
Well, that was really interesting because my government, the Japanese actually consulate called me and told me not to go. Eric Bischoff was told by U.S. Department not to go. Most of us was told not to go because they couldn't guarantee, because they can't guarantee our safety. But we were being invited there by Antonio Inoki, who was a member of a diet, which is like a senator here. So and we were going there with Muhammad Ali, and so it wasn't like, look, as long as I didn't make sure I wasn't going to get in trouble, I wasn't worried. Scott Norton almost didn't come home. You heard that story.
Yeah, we heard about that on Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah. So it was amazing. I mean, not very few people get to go there and come back alive, nor come back. Not very American has gone there and and come back. So it was the opportunity of a lifetime. When I was in martial arts back in 1985, I went to South Africa with the national team, and they told me not to go there either, because there was apartheid. But we went to Soweto, the township, the shanty town, and actually taught martial arts to the Africans, the blacks, and so look, we were there to do the thing to spread the goodwill. So and that's the North Korea deal was called the Peace Festival. It was like 350,000 people in 2 days.
Nice. Well, like we talked about earlier, they did have you with a lot of the the Japanese wrestlers. You did a lot of work with the cruiserweights as well. But like I said, going back to the Monday Night Wars, did you really realize in that moment how big WCW really was? I mean, you guys almost knocked off WWE. How?
Sure did. Yeah. I mean, we certainly had them on the ropes for 83 weeks, right? I mean, I knew at the end of the day, because I was older than, going in that business at that time, I was already older than most of the people that worked there. So I know it wasn't going to last forever. Just like any television show, it doesn't last forever. But it was great though, because I was there at the time when wrestling was it, and I got to work with people like Hulk Hogan and certainly Ric Flair and Macho Man. Macho Man sat right on that couch right over here and went to my kid's show and tell, and he showed up here. I have a Macho Man's Randy Savage's bike sitting in my garage, and it's the only bike he ever owned because I'm a dealer. So I'm a car dealer, so I still have the title and Randy Poffel's name.
Well, that's amazing. Now, I mean, there's so much I want to ask you about that stuff because I know you got a lot of memorabilia and that stuff I've seen. One question, because I know we're going to get into this sooner or later, so we probably can start now. With the NWO, were you with Eric Bischoff when he was in Japan and seeing some of the things that the Japanese were doing and, that whole idea? Like, tell us a little bit about that. Were you a part of that whole forming and the idea of the NWO?
Did I play part in it? That's a question you have to ask Eric. But I did ask such a question as what New Japan was doing at the time, and there was the invasion angle going on to New Japan with another company. And I did tell Eric at one point, I said, it's too bad that you can't do a WWF versus WCW like they're doing in Japan. and you know, and he did kind of make that happen. He knows that can't happen, but he made, you know, perception is reality. He made NWO and made it happen. You know, he made it look like they were coming over here to invade, and that's NWO. But you know, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Eric made that thing happen. You know, and it was great. I mean,
Y'all heard
NWO Japan, for Chono and Muta, you know, actually double crossed me and joined NWO, and he became the Hall and Nash version of New Japan. Took that angle and took it to New Japan, NWO Japan, and they ran with that deal. And I'm going to tell you that 1998 they sold $7 million worth of NWO T-shirt in New Japan.
Question: who gets the money for that? Does, you know, because of this deal, does New Japan keep that T-shirt money, or what's going on?
New Japan's the one who made most of the money because we were selling to them for cost or a wholesale. You know, I'm guessing between $6 and, you know, somewhere around there, and they were selling it at their arena for $38. And you know who complained most about that was Chono and Muta because they got no money for it. But the truth of the matter is, neither did Hall and Nash. They didn't make any money off the NWO T-shirt either.
Now, was NWO just as big in Japan as it was in the U.S.? Was it comparable?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty amazing.
Yo, Daryl, I don't know if you know, I was listening to 83 Weeks with Bischoff, and they actually said they still have a store, NWO store or something in Japan. So they're still pushing the shirts or something.
Masahiro Chono, you remember Chono?
Yeah.
Chono actually has a clothing store in Ginza, and he has gotten licensing rights from WWE, and he sells that NWO goods in Japan.
Wow. Well, you know, I got to say this, and if y'all didn't catch it, he's being modest. Sonny Onoo actually said he started the NWO idea by telling Eric about the invasion. So I'm saying he said it. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
No, I mean, no, I'm just saying, you know, I said, wouldn't it be great? I said, too bad you can't do that. But Eric's the one who come up with that. You know, I had nothing to do with, you know, being able to do it. He's the brain.
You do have a question on the table. It says, and this is from Chris Willett, Mr. Onoo, who was the hardest person to manage?
Hardest person to manage?
Yes. Whether they, I guess.
You know, almost all the guys were so good. And I never had an issue with anybody, you know. I mean, my job was pretty easy. You know, my job was to make sure they were happy, especially the foreign talents, and so I really never had an issue.
Nice.
Now, when we've got guys, right? We got guys here from the U.S., you know, going to Japan, you know, obviously they're working, but almost like tourists too. You know, they're going to have fun in the city. Same thing from, you know, to Japan coming to the U.S. You know, were there any ladies' men among your talent, Sonny, that you had to control some libidos of some of the crew?
Well, actually, it's probably more backward. When I was, you know, when we were traveling on the road, we had, you know, you remember Kaz Hayashi, Young Dragons. When he came in, he was pretty young. He was 20 something. He just came out of Mexico. He went from Japan to Mexico to get a name for himself, and through Ultimo Dragon, he got into WCW, and he's a pretty young man, you know. He didn't speak any English, so we'd be on the road, and this is a shoot story, so I'll tell you. So we're in mountain of West Virginia somewhere, you know, and it was me, Perry Saturn, and Kaz Hayashi. And what I would do is, office will always pay for my hotel room. Boys had to buy their own hotel room, you know. So I would tell those Japanese guys, I said, listen, I got 2 beds in my room. You know, you can come and you can crash in, you know, my room, no problem. You know, whether it was Ultimo Dragon or, you know, as long as they didn't mind bunking, you know, in the same room with me, I said, hey, you're welcome to stay. Save yourself some money, right? So I would do that. And we went out one night in West Virginia after the show. And it was me, Perry Saturn, Kaz Hayashi, and Ernest Miller might have been there. I'm not sure. But we went to a club and we saw a gal staring at Kaz. And Kaz doesn't speak in English. So, you know, me being me, I said, me being his, you know, his buddy and a manager. So I said, hey. So I told the girl to come over here. And this girl wasn't like all there. Well, you know, she was like, well, I'm being kind. She wasn't all there. She was a little slow. Okay, so I said, because she wasn't really speaking, you know, like you would normally speak to a young lady. So I said, hey, so do you like my friend right here? He goes, she nods, you know, then she kind of nods. I said, hey, do you wanna dance with him? And she nods. And I said, Cass, go up there and dance with her. Because, you know, they will always do, you know, what I tell them to. So he goes out there because he's a young boy, right? So he goes out there and he's dancing with the girl. And Perry gets a phone call. And Perry says, hey, all the boys at this other club, let's go. So I go, Cass, we got to go to this other club down the street. And Cass started to come over and the girl he says, what? Cass says, what should I do with the girl? I said, I don't know, maybe. So I said to the girl, I said, hey, can you bring him to the club? And she kind of nods. I go, man, she's really slow here. But I said, what the hell? So anyway, so we go to the club and everybody's there. We all partying, drinking. That girl is, you know, just hanging on Cass. And so bar's closing, light goes on, right? Bar's closing. Last call, light comes on. So I said to the girl, I said, hey, do you want to spend the night with my friend? And she nods. So now it's like a rib, right? Like Perry's laughing his head off. Okay. And so he goes, Perry says, oh, Cass, you're gonna get some. You're gonna get some American stuff. Oh. So he's ribbing him and stuff. So we're laughing. So I said, well, I told the girl, I said, can you make sure he gets, you know, he gets where he needs to go? And she nods, you know, not saying much of anything. And so we're laughing. So bar closes. Perry and I drive back to the hotel. The minute we open the door to the lobby, I see the elevator door closing, right? And it's Kaz and a chick. And then at that point I realized, oh shit, he's staying in my room. Damn. So I go up to the room. I knock on the door. I said, Kaz. I said, hey. So I go in the room. Here's this girl standing on the foot of the bed. Kaz is laying on the bed. And this is, you know, begin 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, hey, we got to get up. So I'm going to go to bed. So hit the light. I crash on my side of the bed, you know, my bed. And I said, Kaz says, Sonny-san. And in Japanese, he goes, what should I do? I said, well, I don't know. I said, what do you think? What do normal people do in Japan when you got a girl in your room? So it's just, well, I don't know what to say to her, he says in Japanese. So I had to translate to get the girl on the bed with him. So yeah, I had to ask the girl. I said, hey, do you want to do my friend?
Yo, yeah. Hey, y'all thought he was just a manager in the ring. See, he helps him out everywhere, baby.
That's right. So I hear him going at it, you know, and I'm trying to sleep and so this is the best part. Cass says, Sonny-san, I'm finished. I go, why the fuck are you telling me? He said, what should I do with her? I said, Look, I don't know, man. I said, far as I know, I'm going to bed. We'll figure it out in the morning. Got up next morning. She was still there. And I said, Kaz, you're not staying in my room anymore.
Man, it was your fault, man. You can't kick him out, man.
So we go to the next town, right?
Yeah.
All the way to the next town, we're ribbing Kaz. Me and Perry just ribbing him and goes, man. I said, make sure to go see the doctor. Did you wear your stuff? Just giving him all kind of shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, that girl gonna follow you the rest of the tour, right? He goes, no, we got to the next hotel, she was waiting in the lobby. I made him go get another room.
Wow. Yeah, okay. So like I said, y'all heard it. If you want a real manager, he take care of everything, baby.
Oh, we said we need some help.
Wow. Yo. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Speaking of your friendships, like I said, I'm Facebook friends with you, so I see how you maneuver. You and the greatest, Ernest and Cat Miller, are still really tight, man. How did that friendship blossom like that? And what kind of number people know?
Because we're both involved in martial arts, and we continue to be involved in the martial arts. He's a legit, 3-time world champion. He competes still at 65 and over division, or 60 and over division. He still competes, and so we stay in touch like that all the time. And he last project he did was he did a MacGyver show. And he's got a recurring role in that show now, and he's working with CBS and with a couple of projects. So you'll see us around doing stuff together down the line. We talk to each other probably about 3 or 4 times a week.
Whoa! Is that another exclusive? You said you'll see us together. So are you guys like working in tandem, kind of like Bischoff and Hogan? Is that what we gonna see with Sonny Onoo and Ernest Miller?
Yeah, Ernest has a project with CBS producer to do some stuff. So and he's got some stuff in the works. But you know how it goes. We don't know how much it'll materialize, but it is in works. We'll see what happens.
Now, with that being said, let me ask another quick question, because I can't let you get out of here without asking this. The innovator of the selfie. You were doing it about 10, 15 years before we were putting out the cameras. What made you, where did it come from, man?
Well, you got to remember, if you saw a Japanese, because I was a guy who came from Japan with all the money, saying what is foreign tourists as Japanese known for? They always got a camera and they're always taking pictures, right? And because we want to remember the events. So instead of having my own cameraman, I thought, wouldn't it be great? I'll just come and do have a 35 millimeter Fuji camera, wound up thing. Remember those things, disposables? Mm-hmm. So we used to come out and I would do a shot. They didn't call it selfie then, because we didn't have these phones, back then. But so yeah, you're right. I was when a phone camera that's when it became selfies. But yeah, 15 years ahead of time, I was doing the selfies.
Innovator.
We got a question here. Actually, I got an inbox question, because as you talked about, being able to speak the language made you a great, opportunity for you to be a liaison between, New Japan and WCW. Were there other guys? WCW was full of a lot of talent, from around the world. Were there other guys that were kind of like liaisons too, of either Mexico or
yeah, countries? Yeah, I ended up managing Psychosis, La Parca, El Dandy, Silver King. I managed a lot of those luchadors as well. So it was a lot of fun, because when I started feuding, when Ultimo Dragon and I split up, I started feuding with Dragon. So I managed all the luchador to beat him, because so that was a relationship we had. And one of the things that people don't realize or it doesn't get enough enough news about it is that, when you're on the road with talent, you spending more time with them than you do with your own family, and they become part of your family. I mean, they become extended family for you. So, every time when I do see La Parca, we give a big hug and talks about the old days, the psychosis, Silver King just passed away last year. Um, you know, and so it's really not a trouble. It's really because you know one of the one of the funnest times that I have is going to this autograph signing and seeing my old friends. Um, so it's not a work. And it's really enjoyable, fun. I don't want to be on the road anymore. I like doing the stuff right out in the computers, right at home. But uh, unless there's another big project or something I can do to help, you know. Um, I love Oscar, right? I mean, Oscar is one of the great talent, um, and so is Nakamura. But I think because it's a television we do here, and wrestling is a part of it, but it is a television show they're producing, right? Storyline. Why are they fighting? Smart fan wants to know that stuff. And if you can't communicate, it's much harder for those guys to stay at the top and get over. Um, yeah, she's mad because he did that, but still, you do need to articulate, and that's difficult. Just like, let me tell you how it is, because guys like you, right? You're a fan of wrestling, but I can tell you, or both of you guys, sometimes when you call customer service and you get a guy on the other line who speaks real bad English from India, I mean, English is second language to me, so I have a hard time understanding broken English, and I get really frustrated, and that's kind of feeling when a Japanese talent try to speak English and can't articulate as well and enunciate the words. That's when you lose the fans. You don't want the fans to go, what did he say? You know what I mean? So I think that's why the managers, are important, just as important for Brock to have Heyman. Brock speaks English just fine, but Heyman plays a role of advocate who can articulate and kind of cover up for lack of some talent who can't articulate as well.
Thank you. I'm glad you just answered that, because that was actually going to be my next question. Tons of great international wrestlers come over, and sometimes there is a disconnect. We love their work, but like you said, in American wrestling, we tend to like the personality and the character. But thank you for answering that. I didn't even have to ask. You have a question on the table. I'm going to ask it the way they wrote it. From Eric Bischoff. Are you still friends with Vince McMahon? Well, first of all, did you ever meet Vince, and did you guys have any type of relationship since you didn't work with him?
No, I have never met Vince McMahon. I seen him in arena, when I was invited to their shows and stuff, but never had an opportunity to do that. I talked to their Johnny A's, their bookers, and some of the people that talked about the possibility, but never went beyond that.
Now, one question for you, Sonny. We hear about backstage at WCW. We hear all kinds of people write about it. What was it really like there? Was it chaos that some people write it? Was it normal? Like, what was it like for you? And then how did things go when the whole sale came into place? How did you transition out of WCW? So kind of what was the backstage like?
Well, I was gone before the sale, but far as backstage goes, you had your top storylines. You had the Stings, the Hogans, Kevin Nash and Scott Halls and NWO. Those were the top echelons of people that was major storyline that driven. Now I was mostly involved with the beginning of the second hour guys, or beginning of the first hour guys, international talent. You got to remember, I managed the greatest women wrestler like Bo Nakano, Akira Hokuto, who's still WCW World Champion. Even to this day, I just did a TV show on Fuji TV in December. Flew over there and did a TV show about that. So we feud with Medusa. So we were perfectly fine. Now were there some issues? Yeah, I mean there was some issues when Ernest Miller and Buff Bagwell got in a fist fight backstage. Yeah, it was more of a pull apart. It wasn't really a fight because I wouldn't want to fight Ernest Miller either.
That doesn't sound like a good match.
No, that was somebody being silly. But yeah, I mean, you have a lot of testosterone going on there. I'm sure that there was some, but what's amazing about professional wrestlers in general, is that you may not like each other, but they go out there and give their body to each other. That's always been an amazing thing to me. You and I cannot agree on anything, but if we're working in the ring, we have to trust each other because I'm trusting you with my life, right? Because one mistake and you can end somebody's career or their life for that matter. So that always amazed me, that how they can still do what they do. To get back to Ernest Miller and Buff Bagwell at the Raw Wild pay-per-view, after they had the issue in the backstage, we still went out there and did the pay-per-view. Still went out there and did the match. So that goes to tell you how professional both those gentlemen are.
Absolutely. That's what's up. Absolutely. Now, before we get out of here, we do have a couple things we want to ask also. But we got a segment. It's called Book Yourself. Now, what that is, first of all, Sonny, do you watch any of the current wrestling? And if you were to take Sonny Onoo, the innovator to Selfie, manager to the stars, and place him in today's wrestling, how would you book yourself?
Because people knows me as that character. So I think there's a plenty on AEW. If you're talking about AEW or for that matter TNA or WWF or WWE, there's a plenty of Japanese talent that I can show up and be an advocate or be a translator, or and I with my new selfie stick, I have a lot better use with that to whack somebody upside the head with it. So yeah, so there's a way to put myself back in a current event. We do, as I told you early on, that we do a guy named by Rob Hockman and I do a DDT show out of Japan. DDT is a promotion out of Japan. And Dan Magden and myself, we do Tokyo Josh, has the largest women group, amazing, beautiful women who is stiff as heck, that we do a pay-per-view, and you can see them on a Fight TV, and you can go to YouTube and get a sample of it. And we do a pay-per-view out of Japan, and those are the two guys that does the play-by-play, and I did the color on their show. So and those guys are great. So I'm still out there doing my thing, and I tell you, you can't believe how good and how knowledgeable Rob Hockman is, and especially guy like Dan Magden. Both those guys, believe it or not, if you Google their name, you'll find that Dan Magden worked for WWF in earlier days. He's the guy who produced their movies. He worked for SmackDown and Raw. And you got a guy named Rob Hockman who worked for Kevin Nash, closely with Kevin Nash at WWF. and WWE, and he worked with and these guys are legit announcers. I mean, you know, Rob worked for Giants, and because he was in New York, he does broadcast play by play for hockey. I mean, these are great guys that I get to work with. So you know, not only that, they're a great wrestling fan and knowledgeable about wrestling. So it makes my job a lot easier.
Now, Sonny, there's so much I want to ask you, but one thing I know, I've seen some of your memorabilia, because I remember talking about somebody about the machines, and I saw that you had the Andre the Giant machine mask. What's some of the memorabilia you've got? What's your best couple of pieces?
Well, let me tell you something about you know, the giant machine, giant super machine. So that was when Paul Wright was first starting out in WCW. They really, you know, the angle was, you know, he was a son of Andre the Giant. So one of the things that we wanted to do was maybe bring him in under the mask on the giant machine and reveal him as you know, the Andre the Giant's son. And some reason that didn't happen, but when that was being discussed, that mask, or Andre's mask, was given to me by Brian Adams. That was an idea from Japan, and of course he passed away, and you know, that's how I have that mask, and A&E channel and WWE is doing a story about memorabilia, as you know, and they're gonna come here, and I think they're gonna try to buy the mask from me.
Get
Remember,
all your money, man. Get all your money.
remember, well, it's the only mask in existence. It's the only mask that Andre the Giant ever wore. You know, it's not like a tiger mask or a Ultimo Dragon mask. There was many of those. There's only one, and I happen to have it.
And you have that. You talked about Macho Man's bike. What's another thing? What's another prized possession you got over there?
Well, I have Randy Macho Man's bike, who was made for him by Carlini. That's a designer who designed a Prowler for Chrysler. And if you look up Carlini, you'll find that he makes motorcycle parts that you can put it on. So in '96, when we were doing the pay-per-view in Sturgis, Randy ordered a bike from Carlini. You know, over $50,000 he bought this bike, almost 60, and had the bike delivered to Tampa, all the way from California to Tampa. And guy rolls the bike out, starts the bike. Randy comes out, loves the bike, gets on the bike, and he says, "Where's the reverse?" He didn't know. He never rode a bike before.
Wow.
And they tell, you know, everybody kind of laughs, giggles, and well, there's no reverse. You just gotta, you know, you gotta walk it back. Well, when he did that, Randy dumped the bike. He got off of it and he says, "Excuse my language to you fans." He says, "Fuck it, I don't want it," and went in the house. The delivery guy didn't know what to do. He called Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff called me if I wanted to buy the bike.
Nice.
So I bought the bike and drove it on a pay-per-view to Sturgis. But there's one caveat to that, is that bike was custom made for Macho Man. You know, Randy was, what, 6'2", something like that? You know, I'm 5'4" on my best day. So there's a picture of me somewhere in WWE archive, because they have that pay-per-view we're driving into Sturgis. Me literally sitting on a tank of that motorcycle so I can ride it.
Fans, y'all heard that. Go to the WWE Network, look for that pay-per-view, screenshot it, and send it to us so I can put it on this page, man. I want to shout out to Rob. He's been watching the one you were just talking about, Ron Hoffman, great guy. Shout out to you, man, for checking us out tonight. But Daryl, I know we got so much stuff, but Daryl, before we go, you gotta ask him. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
You know, we always have a question here, or something I bring out is kind of a mark out moment. Like, you know, you worked in WCW, in New Japan, right? I mean, you're around at the height of everything, right? Around everybody.
Yeah.
What's the mark out? What's the time when you're in the locker room and you're sitting next to somebody and you go, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's next to me. What was that for you? You know?
Well, you know, we got to experience a lot of things. You know, Hawk asked me to ride on his jet. You know, he had a private jet. He says, you know, he said, come on, where we going? He said, you can ride with me on my plane. You know, he flew me. I got to ride on his plane. You know, me, I think it was Hitman Hart. He was on there. I'm trying to think who else was on the flight, but you know, those are the kind of moment you go, man, you know. But the one great moment I had was because he was my hero. So I mean, so when we went to North Korea, you know, we went there with Muhammad Ali. So we went to one of the monument, you know, that they made us go, you know, give our tribute to, right? Well, I can't remember. It was Ricky Dozan's house or, you know, Kim Sung-il, the great leader, you know, whatever. We went there, you know, we did our thing. And as we're walking back to our cars, you know, I feel something whacking me in the back of my head, like somebody slapping me in the back of my head. I go, what the hell? I turn around and look, it's Ali jabbing back of my head. So I turn around and I go, champ, you don't want none of this. I may be small, but, you know, I can, you know, you growing is my height, buddy. Be careful. You know, so stuff like that. And Ali actually, Muhammad Ali actually signed a watch, his a collective watch. He signed it to Sonny and gave me the, you know, I have that, and I have a picture of him and I squaring off because Eric Bischoff took a snapshot of me and him squaring off.
Oh man.
So, you know, those are the moments that you're glad, you know. Of course, I've been with Antonio Inoki and you know, many people, like, you know, I mean, great football player that worked for us, Mongo McMichael, Kevin Green, you know. But those guys all signed. I have a football signed by those guys, and you know, so those are the memorabilia that I have, and you know, those are the moments in your time in your life that you want to have something to remember. You know, I always thought that, so I have those things. You know, lucky for me, I still have it.
I'm gonna ask one more. I gotta ask one more. I gotta sneak one in.
Right, go ahead.
We don't talk about the Nature Boy too often on this show, but I've got to get the Nature Boy out there. Any Ric Flair stories, and have you seen him naked?
You know, Nature Boy Ric Flair is exactly the person you see on television, in person. Generous to a fault. He can drink with the best of them, and very generous, right? So he loves sushi, so we would go eat sushi, you know, Eric, myself, and of course by the night's over, he's buying everybody a drink, and you know, that's Ric Flair. But I do remember one time I did get a phone call, and he you know, he can't find his Rolex, gold Rolex, you know. I'm sure it's $30,000-$40,000 gold Rolex, and you know, find out why somebody stole his watch. He doesn't have it. What happened? Find out what happened last night. Well, it turns out, you know, I get hold of Arn, and Arn says, "Well, tell Rick he gave it to the waitress last night." And apparently, he have done that more than one occasion.
Wow. Wow. Sonny, I gotta ask you this, man, before we get out of here.
Yeah.
You're an amazing manager yourself. But who are your other top 3 managers that you used to like to watch and study?
Well, Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, of course, Mr. Fuji. Those are my top threes. And I was fortunate enough to have Bobby and Jimmy, and those guys were, to this green kid who came in, had to manage, you know, not knowing anything about the wrestling business, had to go and manage, and it was easy for me in a sense that I had to play the character, but those character was developed by those guys. They're the one who helped me. You know, um, I miss Mean Gene. He was most amazing. He was easiest guys to, he helped us out so much when we used to do those local TV, PSAs and stuff. He was just great. They don't make him like that anymore. You know, I love him, miss him, but those are the people who helped me to be who I am today.
For sure. Daryl, do you got anything else for Mr. Ono?
Oh man, I could keep Sonny here all night, man. I mean, there's so much stuff, man. But I know that his time is precious. So no, again, million things, but no, I just so much appreciate you, coming out to our show.
For sure,
Well,
sure.
listen, do me one more favor and go to Fight TV, FITE. It's a free app, right? You can download it on your phone. It's a great technology because they have so many free content out there, as well as pay-per-view that you can only get there. We have, bare knuckle kickboxing from Lathe, from Myanmar, used to be Burma. I brought that to United States. And we have Pro Wrestling Noah, which is probably number 2 company in Japan, after behind New Japan. And you have DDT, Tokyo Josh. They have those three company, pro wrestling company, got together, and they just announced a couple of days ago they are on the group called Cyber Fight, which is they're going to be reckoned with, and they have another pay-per-view coming up in September. And just go back if you get a chance. Watch Rob and I on DDT. Some of the match, because DDT is like out there. So, because they give you everything. DDT gives you everything. If you don't know DDT, they give you everything. They have cross-gender matches. They have, mixed tags. They have stuff that, you can't really, take you to places that, am I watching pro wrestling or am I watching something else? One of those. And you got one of those. And you also have very strong style matches, rivals, anything that New Japan puts out there. So you get a lot of variety of stuff, and Rob Hockman and myself, we do that. Rob does play-by-play, like I said, and I do, I do the color and smarten them up on a lot of the stuff goes on in Japan and which bar to go to after the show or where the girl's going to be hanging out. That's what I'm good at. Like you said, I am a manager for after the show as well. And we have Dan Magden, who is very knowledgeable. We do Tokyo Josh, beautiful, strong, stiff, amazing ladies. So go to Fight TV and check us out. And hit me up on the Facebook. Say hello. And because I'm going to be getting rid of all my memorabilia that I keep finding in my office.
Y'all heard that. He's absolutely right. Listen, y'all watch the 24/7 thing in WWE. Y'all see the hardcore thing they used to do. DDT Pro was doing that way before. And trust me, it was, I'm not going to tell you, you just got to watch it. Go back to DDT Pro and watch when they were doing their 24/7 win the belt everywhere thing. It was amazing. But Sonny, you already kind of did it because when we close out, we got a segment we call Ring the Bell where you talk about anything for 60 seconds, but you kind of already touched on it. But I'm going to give you 60 more seconds. So for these 60 seconds, you can inspire people. You can just promote yourself. You can tell what club to go to. But Sonny Onoo, you got 60 seconds. I want you to ring the bell. Go ahead, sir.
Well, for the last 3 years, we have done what they call Chosen One. I have taken the brightest and the young talents from the United States where we do a tryout. 2 years ago, we did it with Russell One. We chose 12 guys, took him to Japan for a week. They got to wrestle in Korakuen Hall. They got to wrestle on the Wrestle One promotion. They got to train twice a day and wrestle one dojo. We're doing it again next year when this thing with the virus is over. But it's going to be better than ever. We'll probably have a 10 location, couple of international. We already got place in England. We're probably going to do one in Canada as well. And we're going to choose a talent. Then we're going to do it. Those chosen one going to do a show in LA. And then I'm bringing in all the bookers from like DDT, Cyberfight, Tokyo Josh, Noah. They're going to be here and they get to see you. And they might good chance you might get a job in Japan. So I'm bringing those people who make those decisions here. Then we're actually going to choose about 10 guys to go to Japan to train in Japan. So that's coming up. So keep your eyes open, keep watching Fight, and keep checking me out on Facebook, and we'll be making those announcements.
Y'all heard that, and we're definitely going to have that up on all our social media platforms so y'all can be aware, because you're getting an amazing opportunity to be the chosen one with Sonny Onoo. And listen, like he said, download the Fight TV app, check out DDT Pro, check out Tokyo Josh, check out everything. It's a lot of wrestling in the world besides just what we see here on our local television channels. But with that being said, yeah, I know it's been a great show. We got to get out of here, man. You know what to do. Check us out each and every week at the Whip Show Podcast. We're on Anchor. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. Wherever you consume your podcast, you can check us out to watch the video of this on YouTube. Just put in the Whip Show Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at the Whip Show Podcast. And if you have a guest that you want to be on the show, or a suggestion, you know what to do. Email us at thewhipshowpodcast@gmail.com. But we got to get out of here. You know what it is. I am Deshaun Whip Dog Whipple.
Devastating Daryl Pace.
And we were here with the great one. Why, you know what I mean. Mr. Sonny Onoo, the innovator of the selfie. So guys, check you out next time on the show. Sonny, don't leave just yet after the show's over. We want to talk to you for a hot second. But we'll see you next week on the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders Podcast, a.k.a. The Whip Show. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Peace.
All right, live feed is done.
All right. First of all, thank you very much, Sonny. I hope you enjoyed yourself tonight, man.
All right. Everything good.
Thank you very much, man. All right, man. Take care, buddy.
Oh, the drop. We got to do the drop.
Sonny, real quick, you do something for us?
Sure.
If you could just say, this is Sonny Onoo, the innovator of the stuff, or however you do it, and I have fun on the Whip Show Podcast.
Say it again. What's the last part you want me to say?
Say, this is Sonny Onoo, innovator of the selfie, and I have fun on the Whip Show Podcast. Something like that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool.
I got it. Thanks a lot, man. So just
Whenever.
go 3, 2, 1. Go 3, 2, 1, then go.
You want me to go now, or are you going to give me 3, 2, 1?
Yep.
You do your own 3, 2, 1. Count down yourself.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is Sonny Onoo speaking. You know, the guy was doing the selfies, the innovator of selfie. Having so much fun on the Whip Show. And you guys, pay your internet bills. I'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. Take care, man. Have a good rest of your night, man.
All right,
thank you so much.
Yep.
You guys take care.
Take care, man.